¿Qué hay, amigos de la cabina Geek? Seguimos aquí transmitiendo totalmente en vivo desde la EGS 2022 en su edición Respawn. Y bueno, estamos a pocos segundos de iniciar lo que es esta macro conferencia virtual del gran John Romero. Para quien no lo conozca, es uno de los desarrolladores principales de todo lo que es Doom, Wolfenstein y muchos juegos más de ID Software. Entonces, sin más, chicos, pues los dejamos con esta presentación especial de la EGS 2022.
Oigan, es que 20 años no se dice nada fácil. Yo les doy la bienvenida aquí desde WTC EGS México 2022. Y es que, ¿saben qué? Este es un evento bastante nostálgico. Yo los invito a que pasen por los diferentes stands. Seguramente se van a encontrar con muchísimas sorpresas. Y además, les recuerdo que el día de hoy vamos a tener de verdad unas cosas requete buenasas, que van a decir, ¿qué onda? ¿Qué está pasando? No lo puedo creer. ¿Saben qué? También les quiero recordar nuestras redes sociales. Ahí estamos en Instagram como EGS-México y también nos pueden encontrar en TikTok. Estamos como EGS-MX. Y ahora sí que necesito de toda... ya ven, ya está, estoy aquí con toda la emoción ya grabando y toda la onda, porque ¿qué creen? Es el tercer y último día de este magno evento donde hemos tenido muchísima música y obviamente muchísimos videojuegos. Hemos tenido bastantes entrevistas también por acá y es que aquí se respira, se transpira gaming. Eso de verdad que a mí me fascina y me encanta. Me da mucho gusto saludarlos. Les recuerdo que tienen que tener mucha pila, muchísima energía para que disfrutemos con Tokio el día de hoy. Y estoy muy feliz porque no saben lo que vamos a tener a continuación. Ok, les voy a platicar un poco del invitado. Miren nada más. Él es nada más y nada menos que John Romero. Es un galardonado diseñador de juegos. Por ahí escucho los gritos. ¡Eso! Se escucha la porra para John Romero. La verdad es que es un crack, bastante crack. Estábamos platicando lo de hecho por allá en el backstage. Fíjense nada más, diseñador de niveles y programador cuyo trabajo abarca más de 130 juegos y 107 de los cuales se han publicado comercialmente, incluidas las obras icónicas Wolfenstein, 3D, Doom y Quake. Y ahora, ahí están los fans, ahí están todos los fans también de Doom. ¿Saben qué? Los voy a dejar con Mario Valle para que nos introduzca a John Romero y ustedes disfruten muchísimo de todo el conocimiento y experiencia que tiene para compartirnos. Así que, adelante.
Bueno, amigos y amigas del Entertainment Gaming Show, edición Respawn, como parte de la celebración de estos 20 años que tiene el EGS, no podría yo estar ni más contento ni más honrado de estar con una de las leyendas de la industria de videojuegos de todos los tiempos, una persona con la que he tenido yo oportunidad de platicar en otras ocasiones de manera privada. Nos hemos conocido en persona y he sido fan declarado desde que lo conocí la primera vez. Muchísimos de ustedes saben quién es, muchísimos de ustedes saben de qué tamaño es su aportación a la industria. Es una persona que sin duda alguna, y lo digo sin cortapisas, ha cambiado el mundo y estoy muy contento de estar con el mismísimo John Romero. John Romero fue uno de los creadores y es considerado uno de los diseñadores de juegos, un game designer, director, creador, creativo, productor. Él ahora es la cabeza de Romero Games desde 2015 y ha sido desde hace muchos años, desde finales de los 80s, principios de los 90s, fue fundador de una compañía llamada ID Software y él creó dos juegos que cambiaron el mundo. Uno, Wolfenstein 3D, y el otro, todos ustedes los conocen, Doom. Así que mi querido John Romero, my dear John Romero, thank you so much for the time, my friend. I'm very, very honored to have you here in EGS, and we really appreciate your time this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is amazing to be at your 20th anniversary. It's such a massive milestone, and I know it means a lot to
let me go back in time. Let me go a little bit back in time for those people that are also big fans from what you have done and what you have created. Where and how John Romero started in the game? Because I know that you've been programming games since you were 12, I think, and in this legendary Apple II computer that is actually a piece that is shown in museums and everything, but you started at 12 programming games. How this started to change your life until you created games for a living?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I kind of accidentally started programming games. Because when I started, there really like nobody had computers at home, and I accidentally ended up at a computer lab at the local college, and I just started learning how to program. I started asking students what they were typing, and I broke it all down, and they finally gave me a book, and I started making very basic games and adventure games on the mainframe computer. And it took probably 3 years before I finally got the computer at the house, and then I could really spend a lot of time learning everything. And that was, when I started learning, it was in 1979. So that was like the summer of 79. I turned 12 a few months later, like October 28th is my birthday. It wasn't for another 3 years when I was actually 14 at the time, when I finally got the computer, and I just started making a ton of games. And they were pretty small, and eventually, pretty quickly I figured out what I needed to do to sell my games. Like, what was it that I was doing, what did I need to do to get my games accepted? So I finally figured out that formula back then in the early 80s, and started basically selling all of my stuff. And it was 1987 when I finally got my first industry job, and that was after I graduated high school 2 years before that. So for 2 years I was still making games, but then I finally got my first job in 1987 in Origin. But before that point, I made several dozen games before that were
I know, yeah. And one of the things that I have to tell you, my dad is a programmer too, and in the 80s he had an Apple II. And in exchange of me dictating code to him, he let me play games. And I remember the Nibble magazine. I remember the Nibble magazine that my dad was a subscriber, and you were not only in one, but I think that in 2 or 3, I think in that year, in 87, in 3 covers. And gaming and programming obviously was at the very early stage, and you were already, I don't know, you were maybe 20 or 20 something, and you were in the cover of video.
Yeah, 3 times. Yeah, 3 times. 3 times, 3 games, and they're all arcade games. They're written in a separate language. They were, it didn't take a lot of time to make them, but it was really fun making those games. And back then, that was like the easiest way to get it published was to write something that was small enough to get printed in a magazine, but good enough that people would want to type it in.
Amazing. That's amazing. And then a little fast forward into, I know that you moved then to Louisiana, I believe in 89 or 90s. But I read this book, 89. I read this book that has several kind of chapters, and I read the book, it's called The Smart Home. It's a great book that talks about different chapters of the industry. And one of those chapters mentioned actually that you were the one who hired John Carter.
Yeah.
You were the one who hired John Carter.
Yes.
The other, for those that doesn't know who John Carter is the other co-founder of the other item of the discussion that I want to get into, which is the creation of IT software. But I wanted to mention that for me was a surprise surprised reading that.
Oh, yeah.
That you were not ready, that you were actually the one who hired him and maybe Andrew as well, his brother.
They're not related. They're not related at all.
Okay, so I'm surprised the person knew.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Adrian was already working at Softis as an intern, $5 an hour, and he was just barely learning how to click on his computer screen because he was an artist on paper. And they brought him in there to start learning how to do stuff on the computer. He was only there a month. And I started a new department at this company, and I needed another programmer to work with me to make these games. And I had already seen some of John Carmack's work because he had submitted to that company already some games, and they published them. And one of his games was published on the disc that I was on as well, on my games. So I saw his work was really, really good. I said, I want to hire this guy. And they said, he's going to say no. Tried 2 times to hire him. He always says no. And I said, tell him that it's only to make games. And then he'll say yes. And so they invited him to come down, and he came down.
The right pitch.
It was the right pitch. And when he met me, this other guy, who's another programmer, it was like, we mind melded. It was perfect. It absolutely wanted to work down there immediately. So that's what we did. We hired him and brought him down. And I brought Adrian in. For some reason, they're both named Carmack, but they weren't related.
I was like a complete, I didn't even assume the possibility that they were not related.
It's nuts because I have the same name as John. So there's 2 Johns and there's 2 Carmacks and 3 Carmacks.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I'm saying all this for those who are watching this because this was the milestone. I mean, John Romero leading a team that was making games as freelancers because they were working for companies, and I don't know, I'm going to ask him right now, but they somehow got the idea of creating a company from there that was going to create their own IPs, their own projects. How did this start, John?
Well, the first game that we worked together on was a vertical scrolling game that's like Xevious from the arcade, if you remember. So it's vertical scrolling.
Yeah, vertical scrolling, yes.
Vertical scrolling where you're just like shooting stuff ahead of you, like lots of platforms have these kinds of games, but on the PC there weren't any because it's hard to make the screen scroll on PC back in at that time period. It was 1998 this time. And I gave John a book that basically laid out all the information that he needed to do graphics at high speed on a PC. So he figured out how to make the screen scroll very smoothly, like a Nintendo basically, vertically. So as soon as he did that, I was like, oh my god, that's amazing. But if you can go horizontally like Mario, that's extremely difficult, and that changes everything. So he after getting the game working for a little bit, while making that game, he also then made a demo of it moving horizontally. And when they put that demo on my desk, it was a replication, it was kind of like a replication of Super Mario Bros. 3. There's one of the level. And he put that on my desk, and when I ran it, I was just blown away, and I could not work for 3 hours because it changed the world of the PC. Like the entire gaming world of PC changed at that minute, and nobody knew except. And I was just he came into the office. They came into the office late, and I was just like, I can't believe it. We have to leave and start a company. This changes the whole world.
That's an amazing story, and I swear to God that I didn't know that story. That's an amazing story because this is, and I'm talking to the audience now, this is the moment that, and I'm not kidding, I said that in Spanish at the beginning, I'm not kidding when I say that that this gentleman changed the F world. At that moment, they started the idea of beginning a company that actually started not only the acceleration of an industry, but the conceptualization of how man, woman, and machine interact. That's it. And this is why John Romero's work has been so influenced even beyond games. So that's something that if we have the time we're going to talk about a little bit. And this was obviously the beginning of ID software for sure. A company that created not only Doom, creating and inaugurating the first person shooter world, but also other franchises like the ones that I mentioned. I mean, obviously series, but I was going to say, Quake even invented what we already know now as esports games. The tournament DNA, the deathmatch, which is a coin phrase or coin concept that you created. I remember we had at the end of the 90s, we had an editorial company. We created one of the first startups on my side was creating magazines. One of those was a technological cyberculture, kind of Wired in Spanish, and the other one was a gaming multi-platform gaming like an EGM, but for the Spanish-speaking world. And they were, we were like 70 employees at some point, so it was a decent sized publishing. But here's the thing: at the end of every Friday, we were only playing capture the flag matches. So that was my life from '99 to 2001 at least. And those practices, so those creations were conceptualized by you and the team at ID Software. You started there in 1991. You started the company. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was 91. And you stayed there. Okay. And you stayed there until 97.
96, the middle of 96.
The middle of 96.
5.5 years.
What was the major highlights of this period in your career, aside from creating these franchises that were influenced not only for the game industry, but also for the computer industry and the computer kind of interaction world?
Geez, there were so many highlights. I think one of the first big highlight was the fact that we could turn the PC into a Nintendo with our horizontally scrolling technology that was brand new and make it move as smooth as a Nintendo. So that was massive back in 1990. In 1992, we had already made a lot of games. Like in 1991, we made 13 games. 13. There's only a couple. 13 games. There's only a couple of them that were important, and those were our 3D games. So Summer Tank 1 and Capcom 3D that came out at the end of it. Capcom 3D was the very first texture-mapped first-person shooter. It didn't use guns to shoot. It used your mage's hand to shoot their hands.
I remember that.
Yeah. So it's a first-person shooter, just not with guns yet. And it was very, very, it actually had some interesting features in that game that Wolfenstein didn't have. But then Wolfenstein had guns, it had secret walls, and of course it's in VGA. That was one of the first really, it was the fastest VGA game made. It ran at 70 frames a second when it came out in 1992, which is like unheard of to run any game that fast. And in the next year, 1993, we made Doom. And that was the game where we really spent a lot of time coming up with what are the foundational rules of this kind of game. We didn't have the term first-person shooter, it didn't exist, so we just called it a 3D game. Yeah, it was just, we called it.
I was going to say, there was no 3D games at all. I mean, there was not even the first-person shooter concept, but also the 3D. And I'm not exaggerating. Again, I want to stress the point for the audience to think about this. This gentleman created the 3D space for you to be able to enter a computer in which a monitor will allow you to simulate that you are immersed in a world. It is an accident that was a game, but there would not be metaverse, there would be no VR without what these guys created. That's a major massive. So when the FPS and when the deathmatch kind of idea came to your mind?
Well, deathmatch was the idea of making a multiplayer game was due from the very beginning. From the first day that we wanted to make a game, we knew that we wanted to play together, and so we wanted to co-op through the levels to have fun together. We wanted to have a competitive match, you know, a competitive mode where we're killing each other, and we didn't have a name for that. We just knew that we wanted to do these things. And eventually, while we're making it, and we're making the networking part of the game work, and we see deathmatch for the first time, that's when I came up with the term deathmatch. So like, this is like a match to the death. You know, like we have to define how many times that you get killed. Like we didn't have a name for kills. You know, we call them frags now.
Frags.
And yeah, I basically asked the artist, there's only 5 of us making the game. So I'm
5 people? Okay.
5 of them. And so I'm asking
Think about this audience, 5 people creating this. Okay. Sorry for the interruption.
With Wolfenstein, there's 4. There's 4 people on Wolfenstein. With Quake, there were 10. So there were technically at the end of June there were 6 because Tom Hall left the company and we replaced him, but also brought on someone else during the last 5 months of the project. So there were 6 people that shipped it, but most of it was 5 people. Quake was 10 people total. Deathmatch was the thing that just, what are we going to call this mode? Because I need to come up with a name for it. I'm like, smash to the death, so deathmatch, that makes sense. That's like easy. Yeah, big match is like one-on-one, so that cage, you can't get out of it. You know, wrestling. It was just like, yeah, that makes sense, it's a deathmatch.
This is the death versus death.
To the death, multiple deaths.
That's great. That's great.
But yeah, it's from 1993, that was when that word was invented, and today it's been almost 30 years that the word's been used. So,
wow, and it's also, and certainly it was one of the concepts that inspired a lot of other game developers and game designers in the decades for sure. And I want to connect this, John, with the fact that one of the main topics of the conversation that I wanted to cover with that includes this. I mean, you are mentioning that for Wolfenstein it was 4 people, for Doom it was 5 people, then for Quake it was 10 people. And I think that I've been working around games. I never developed a game myself, of course, but I've been working in games for more than 20 years, around games in the game industry for more than 20 years, 23 years to be exact. And I worked, when you and I met for the first time in person, I was working for Electronic Arts. I was based already in Redwood Shores, and I was working for business development in emerging markets, right? I created my own. I pitched inside EA the importance of making sure that we considered the emerging market world not only as a consumer, critical mass. My main pitch inside the creation of my role was, yes, Latin America has a lot of gamers and players and consumers. Yes, Southeast Asia has a lot of consumers, Indonesia, Malaysia, etc. Yes, Central Europe or Eastern Europe has a lot of, and by the way, putting parentheses, I want to talk to you about that level that you created in March 2022 for after the Ukraine-Russia conflict. That was amazing. Most parentheses, I continue with my point. The emerging markets opportunities not only about consumers, the emerging markets opportunities about talent, and has been always about potential game developers as well. And we are starting to see places like Latin America, obviously Southeast Asia, even Africa, right? Places like Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, has a lot of small teams, like 3-people teams, 10-people teams that are creating a game. And actually one of the things that we're doing is funding. We have a very small investment fund now that is supporting these emerging markets talents. I was amazed about the number of indie developers that were present this year at Gamescom. What's your view? What's your take on this big opportunity, the big return of these small teams, small team that can be at the same level in terms of quality, in terms of changing the world of gaming as a AAA company? What you're seeing there?
Well, it's definitely because there are so many tools available nowadays that you don't have to have a big team. There's already amazing engines for people to use to already get started. There are so many asset creators out there putting their stuff on marketplaces for you to download their assets. So you don't need a bigger team for that, and it's fast. Like when you need something, you just download it into your game. So speed has been up big time. Which means small teams can execute and create something in a short period of time instead of needing to create everything from scratch for years, you know. They can focus on the gameplay, they can focus on the thing that makes their game super unique, which is the design. The art part of it, of course, is also really important to get looking good, but there's so much out there already. You know, there's outsourcing companies that can help. If you don't have a big team, you can use a part of the big team for a short period of time with outsourcing. So I'd say, you know, there's so many services, there's so many assets, there's so much technology available that it means that indies can actually, you know, do a good job and make good money by creating a really decent game quickly and see how it goes. Like putting stuff on the internet for people to download is easy now. Like you can make a game and get it out there. And really the only thing at this point is discoverability, is having people notice your game exists. And the better the game, the more everyone will know that your game is great. One way to get your name out there, to get your game out there, that works really well. Even if it's a really good game, it doesn't mean that every game is going to be noticed by everybody. You know, it's not like a Valheim, right? Valheim gets noticed and it blows up super fast because it's super cool. But it's like it could have also been a game that nobody paid attention to, even though it's amazing, right? So to get your stuff noticed, what I tell people to do is there are a lot of conventions out there that have indie showcase awards. And, you know, there's a main convention and there's an indie part of it to show off the games of that country. And so submit your game to every conference that you can find. And if you get noticed, if you get nominated for an award, or if you even win an award, you now have free press and people are now able to talk about games surfaced by a lot of other people. They've noticed your stuff. So do that, you know, it's okay to like have a game that you've been working on for several years. At some point, it's showable. And if it's nominated, you can still be making the game, and you can show up multiple years in a row and just market the hell out of your game for you before you actually release it.
It's free PR, as you were saying, free PR, and you kind of publicize the product and the idea and the creation before you can see them launched.
Yeah.
That's great. I want to go back very quickly because maybe some of the audience doesn't know, and I was amazed when I read the news, John. When the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, it went very simply when Russia invaded Ukraine, because the concept of a conflict is between two parties that are at equal level, but this was actually something that happened to Ukraine. You did something that was amazing. You created a specific level for Doom 2. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that all the proceeds, or part of the proceeds that you got from this level for an amazing and legendary game were destined to support Ukraine. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah, for the Red Cross that supports Ukraine. What I did was, I had put out a Doom episode last year called Sigil. Or it was actually 2019, I put out Vigil, which is the 5th episode of the original Doom. People can just download it and play it, it's free. And what I wanted to do was celebrate the 25th anniversary of Doom. So I was like, what better way than just make a whole new episode of Doom? So it's episode 5, and people can play it, download it, and people loved it, and they wanted more. And my idea was that, well, you know what, I'm going to make a Sigil 2. And that's how long it was. So I started working on Vigil 2, and when the whole situation happened with Ukraine, that war, we decided, you know, why not take one of the Vigil 2 levels and make that something that goes out in 100% of the donations that people make.
100% of the donations, wow.
Yeah, go to the Red Cross that supports Ukraine. So that's what we did, and you know, lots of people supported that, and we're really happy with the response. And people get, you know, the Doom level, it's a Doom 2 level, which I have not made since 1994. So it was.
That's a really good point, because this was Doom 2, and that was a return that didn't happen for 18 years.
28, right?
28, sorry. 28. That's a good reminder of my age. Yes. Yes, completely amazing what you did there. And this is a segue to ask you another thing that I wanted to ask you about what you guys are doing right now. You started Veamos Games in 2015, and I don't know if it's obviously, I'm sure that you're working on it right now in projects that you cannot talk about yet, I'm sure. But what do you want to share? Because I think that it's important for people in the audience to know that you are really keep on going, not only as a maker yourself and as a game designer yourself, but you're inspiring others, and you're working in different projects aside from our games. But I mean, what you're doing for some speaking opportunities and all your messages inspiring new developers and new game. I mean, what you just did in this conversation about how to create free press and how to support your game with free, it's the kind of thing that I admire. But do that for yourself a little bit and talk about what you guys are doing in Veamos Games.
Well, let's see. First, one of the things I said is I had spoken at a university in Ensenada several years ago. One of the things that they really liked was when I said, just so everyone knows, a Mexican co-created the first-person shooter. Just so it's clear, everybody.
That's an amazing starting in Mexico, in the University of Mexico. Very inspiring. That's great.
So we're making, we've been making games here. We do big things and small things. Like Sigil was like a small thing. We made a really big game called Empire Sin, and that was released in 2020. At the end of 2020. Released a big DLC a year ago, almost a year ago. And I started working on Sigil 2. We put out box games, like there's a series of games that I made called Dangerous State. There's like 9 of those games, and we put out a box set of those. If you go to Romero.com, there's see all of the stuff that we sell, which is very like evil themed stuff. That's thematic to Doom, because people just love Doom still. And right now, we're shooting Unreal 5, and we're working with a giant publisher to make this game. So it's going to be my first shooter in 20 years, basically.
20 years?
And
great.
We'll
keep an eye to.
It's not a retro shooter. It's a shooter for today.
That's great.
But yes, we're still making things. Yeah.
I connect, and this is something that I should ask before, because I know that we are getting into the end of the conversation for a long time, but what's your take on new platforms, immersive platforms? I don't want to talk about the metaverse concept. It's a difficult concept because it's somewhat, in my opinion, has been a concept that has been very opportunistic and very kind of marketing plastic kind of thing, and a lot of people are just talking about the metaverse without not knowing what it is, but not knowing that actually it doesn't exist yet. I remember this phrase from Kara Swisher that said, if you want to understand the metaverse, you just need to take a look to what video game industry has been doing for the last 30 years. So I don't want to talk about the metaverse. What I want to ask you is about your take on the new technologies that are going to bring new opportunities to build games, and those are VR and most importantly, augmented reality, AR. What is your take on that? Is this something that excites you, or are you a skeptic? Where are you in that?
I really think that there's so much in AR that's going to be huge. And VR is great too. Like the way I look at VR, and I'd say maybe even AR, but mostly VR. VR is like another console. It's like an Xbox, it's like PlayStation. It's its own thing, and the games that are on your VR headset should be made only for VR. Not a port of something that's on another platform, but made specifically for how VR works optimally. A lot of games work best when you're not running in VR. If you're moving slowly, not so bad. Or if you're stationary, it's great. It's expected stationary. Like when you're in a roller coaster, you know you're not supposed to be running, but you know that if you're inside of something that you sit in, it's okay, and you won't get hit too much, right? So, as long as the representation is correct, and they are doing that with VR, they are kind of treating it like it's its own platform, and things need to be different on VR, then, I love it. There's a lot of really great stuff in VR. AR is really the future of what you can do with games. It's not the be all end all. I look at it as another market that is experimental at this point. But if you have seen Apple's keynote probably from 3 years ago, they were introducing AR kit. There was a demo of Lego, of basically you have a table on stage that's empty, but when you use your iPad or your phone, there's a whole Lego set. And you have animated characters in there, and multiple people playing the same thing together. So it's really cool.
Well, John Romero, thank you so much for this conversation. I really, you don't everybody have the opportunity to speak to someone that has influence not only the industry but the technology that we have to do. So I'm very honored. I feel very humbled to have this conversation. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Is there any final message that you want to send for the HES audience that is watching?
Well, you know what? We make games, so you're having fun playing them. We're playing too, and it's really fun for us to make them. So it's like a really great ecosystem, and really enjoys this 20-year anniversary, and it's a significant achievement. And congratulations to HES guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Bueno, pues John Romero. Sigan atentos a los contenidos que vamos a tener en EGS Respawn.
Muchísimas gracias a Mario Valle y John Romero. ¿Qué tal? ¿Qué les pareció esta conferencia? Espero que espectacular. Por ahí veo unos aplausos. Espero que hayan aprendido muchísimo y que también se hayan inspirado bastante, tanto como yo. Oigan, y seguimos aquí de fiesta. Este es el 20 aniversario del EGS. ¿En qué momento pasaron 20 años? ¿En qué momento pasa tanto tiempo? No lo sé. Oigan, pero aquí estamos disfrutando de los videojuegos. Pueden pasar por diferentes stands, seguramente van a tener experiencias únicas. ¿Y qué creen? No quiero que pase más tiempo sin agradecer a uno de nuestros patrocinadores oficiales, que es Intel, nuestro patrocinador oficial de los procesadores Raptor Lake 13ª generación en Versus. Así que gracias a Intel de verdad por compartir con nosotros y por darnos una experiencia como esta en el EGS, donde la estamos pasando espectacular. Oigan, también tenemos otro patrocinador muy especial, que es nada más y nada menos que el que nos va a dar unos regalitos bien coquetos. Es nada más, díganmelo con ciencia. Es que este es un misterio, fíjense, Cami, ahí estamos. Pero a ver, ¿qué vamos a tener? Unas sorpresas, porque aquí les prometí sorpresas y vamos a tener sorpresas. ¿Alguien quiere tener, no sé, un cómic de Halo, por ejemplo? Ahí veo varias manos levantadas. Pues quien caiga aquí primero en el escenario, que agarre el cómic. Corrió, se fue con todo, así nada más. Pero esperen, ¿saben qué? No se preocupen porque, a ver...
Pues bueno chicos, ahí tuvimos lo que fue la conferencia de John Romero durante la EGS 2022. Seguimos dando contenido durante todo nuestro recorrido en este gran evento. Bueno, ahora sí que los invitamos a que nos sigan en nuestras redes y sin nada más que decir, continuamos.